Jasmine Crockett realmente arremetió contra el director del FBI de Trump, Kash Patel, en una audiencia esta mañana. Los republicanos están tratando de engañar a todos haciéndoles creer que los demócratas se unieron a las fuerzas del orden para presentar esas 4 acusaciones contra Trump. Pero Crockett demostró que en realidad es lo contrario. No es Biden y los demócratas quienes van tras Trump. En cambio, Trump es quien está trabajando estrechamente con Patel y su fiscal general Pam Bondi para usar el gobierno como un arma. Aquí vamos de nuevo con esta tontería.
About Biden, Biden, and more Biden. Today is nothing more than a dog and pony show for Republicans to avoid facing the American people for their trash policies that are killing the economy and our democracy. Despite Republicans' claim of backing the blue and being the party of law and order, we're here today because Republicans are willing to throw our country's top law enforcement agents under the bus to appease Trump and execute his political vengeance. Now, I know remembering things is hard for some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, like remembering not to add reporters into a signal chat discussing military war plans. But let me remind my colleagues that it was Trump who decided to store national secrets and classified documents next to his oversized bathtub and toilet at Mar-a-Lago. It was Trump who took the documents out of the boxes and shared them with his guests. It was Trump who told his staff to move the boxes when the FBI was coming. And it was Trump who appointed Director Christopher Wray as head of the FBI, the same director that allowed the investigation to move forward. As much as Trump and Republicans hate to accept it, we are still a country with laws. And when you break them, there are consequences. Now, make no mistake, we should all be concerned about the FBI. But my concerns as ranking member of this subcommittee, as a member of Congress, and as an attorney, as well as a citizen, are based on things called facts. And when I say facts, I mean clear, indisputable facts, not those alternative facts my Republican colleagues continue pushing onto the American people. So let's talk about facts. Fact. Even prior to being confirmed by the Senate, Kash Patel was directing officials within the FBI to fire members within the Bureau simply because they worked on the lawful investigations into Trump. Fact, Patel failed to disclose his previous work and financial ties with the country of Qatar, a country that, had you read the Mazars report, released last year by the House Oversight Committee, you would know paid close to $500,000 to Trump while he was president of the United States. Unsurprisingly, the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force was recently disbanded, and the DOJ also cut back on its Foreign Agents Registration Act enforcement. Our enemies are jumping up and down now that we're doing their work for them. Another fact, Patel has never even been an FBI agent and is now leading the Bureau. Even one of today's Republican witnesses organizations, the Bureau, has advocated having an FBI agent lead the Bureau. But rather than confirm a director with credible, dedicated experience, the Republicans confirmed a political loyalist with no Quantico or FBI training. Talk about DEI. Didn't earn it higher. Another fact, Patel, who rails against telework, what he calls lazy agents, was working part-time in and out of Las Vegas, commuting back and forth between there and DC, while also living in the home of a GOP mega donor. Think about that for a second. Could you imagine what Republicans would have done had, say, James Comey had been living in New York part-time as the FBI director, and if his New York home was owned by, say, George Soros? Speaker Johnson would have forced a floor vote on articles of impeachment within days of this news coming out. But nevertheless, my Republican colleagues are willing to sacrifice safety for stupidity as long as it's loyal. Another fact, Patel and Trump-backed FBI leadership have redirected FBI agents who are working on investigations involving violent crimes against children and child exploitation and transferred them to work on anti-Tesla attacks and redacting Jeffrey Epstein files. Talk about FBI waste and abuse. You simply can't make this stuff up. To be clear, Director Wray testified before Congress last year, noting that, quote, if each one of the FBI's cyber agents and intelligence analysts focus exclusively on the China threat, China's hackers would still outnumber FBI cyber personnel by at least 50-1. Yet rather than hire more agents to protect against these cybersecurity threats, Director Patel is reassigning agents to redact Epstein files. Someone please tell me how this makes America safe. It's almost as ridiculous and wasteful as Patel's idea to contract the Bureau with UFC fighters. And while I have very real concerns about the current state of the FBI today, I want to be very clear. My concerns aren't with career agents, the men and women dedicating their lives to protect our country and communities. It's with the irresponsible leadership and reckless decisions coming from Patel, Trump, and DOJ staff within the FBI. Our Bureau needs resources to do its job effectively. What it doesn't need is 20-something-year-old DOJ bags reviewing materials without having undergone proper vetting and clearance. The American people have a right to be worried, but these worries shouldn't be based on Republican baseless conspiracy theories. Our country is already on a dangerous path, pushing closer to causing irreparable harm. Republican members need to wake up and put Trump loyalties aside to engage in real oversight of the current FBI before it's too late. Congress deserves it. The brave men and women at the Bureau deserve it, and the American people deserve it. I want to add one more point. As a civil rights attorney, I have had to sue law enforcement. There have been times that I can truly say that law enforcement has crossed the line. And I truly believe that there can be one or two in a bunch that can ruin everyone. The problem that I have right now, though, is that we have decided to focus in on something that my Republican colleagues have decided to term as being political. What is political is when somebody says that they are going to come back and seek retribution. What is political is firing people because they simply were following the evidence and doing their jobs as law enforcement has been trained to do. And ultimately, regardless of whether or not anyone believes that it was right to indict the president, not once, not twice, not three, but 4 times he was indicted, ultimately, each of you knows enough to know that at the end of the day, it is citizens that sit on a grand jury that are the ones that decide whether or not evidence exists to go forward with an indictment. And ultimately, when this president was convicted by a jury on the state level, it was a jury of his peers. And so I want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your commitment. And thank you so much for the testimony that
Jasmine Crockett concluyó con un punto clave. Ella misma ha ido tras oficiales de las fuerzas del orden antes. Así que esta idea de que los demócratas no desafiarán a los funcionarios que supuestamente acusaron injustamente a Trump es simplemente ridículo. Esas 4 acusaciones fueron examinadas cuidadosamente y los republicanos no han mostrado ninguna prueba de que los funcionarios abusaron de su poder. En realidad, toda la evidencia apunta a que Trump es quien está abusando de su poder al interferir con las elecciones, llevarse documentos clasificados y pagar dinero por silencio a una estrella porno. Me sorprendió saber por el discurso de Crockett que Kash Patel ha quitado dinero de la investigación de explotación infantil y en su lugar ha centrado los recursos del FBI en violencia anti-Tesla y en redactar los archivos de Epstein. Prioridades bastante preocupantes. Cuando esto eventualmente se vuelva contra Patel y Trump y suceda algo que el FBI debería haber prevenido, ya hemos visto en los últimos meses que los estadounidenses están cansados del comportamiento de Trump en la oficina Oval. Cuando ocurra algo importante que claramente cae bajo la vigilancia de este FBI, de Patel y de Trump, ahí es cuando las cosas realmente explotarán. Es solo cuestión de tiempo cuando están usando el FBI de manera tan descuidada. Y de alguna manera, cuando todo se derrumbe, tratarán de culpar a los demócratas como de costumbre. Seguimos escuchando cómo Trump no puede arreglar nada de lo que prometió el primer día debido al desastre de Biden. Con Signalgate que Crockett mencionó brevemente, están tratando de culpar a Jeffrey Goldberg de The Atlantic por recibir esos mensajes de texto y planes de guerra que Pete Hegseth le envió. Así que por supuesto cuando suceda algo que el FBI debería haber detenido, encontrarán la manera de culpar a los demócratas. Pero tengo curiosidad, ¿qué piensas sobre la declaración de Crockett hoy acerca de Patel y su estrecha relación con Trump?